Welcome home, neighbors, to our pre-show. If you're tuning in right now on a pre-recorded show, you can look down to one of the chapter markers and just skip to that. Because what we're doing right now is we're asking everybody, when are you going home next? And right now, I am running solo tonight. Gina just got off a Disney cruise, and so I have no producer in the background. So it is Andy and I on tonight's show, and we start off every show with a really simple question as to when are you guys going home next? Andy, do you want me to lead this one off? I got my little app lined up and can bring it up onto the screen and show us. So
go for it, because I only have one trip planned.
Oh, okay. Well, I will do this as well. And so 71 days to our Vero Beach pre-cruise meetup. And we'll be at Vero for 2 nights before we're heading on to the DCL Duos cruise. If you're looking for a Disney cruise podcast, our friends over at DCL Duo are phenomenal. And they have organized a cruise that a bunch of our community just happened to be on as well. So we just decided we would crash it with them. And we're going over to the DCL Duo for that. And then it's 105 days until my family heads off to this joint LA / Honolulu / Disneyland trip. We bought a round trip ticket to LA, and we're going to be hitting Universal Hollywood up for a day. And then we're getting on a plane again, and we're going back to Aulani for 5 nights. And then we're coming back to LA, and we're going to Disneyland, the Villas at Disneyland Hotel for 3 nights. And then after that, we're coming back home. And after that, I'll be back to the Villas at Disneyland Hotel again. I think this is Columbus Day weekend, 188 days. It will be we're having a meetup there. Some of our team got together and rented a grand villa for a couple of nights and invited the rest of the team in. We're going to be hosting a meetup in the Disneyland Hotel Grand Villas. So we'll be glad to. Yeah. I'm like really super excited to get to hang out there with that fireplace deal and be hosting anybody who wants to pop in from the community. We'll be doing some posts in our Facebook group, and yeah, you can just check us out there.
You're going to have a little plate there at the front door collecting money for the transient tax.
We might have like a little donation plate or something. And actually, I think we're going to just cover that. And I think it would, if somebody else is going to cover the points for it, I think the rest of us can pick up the transient tax.
Okay.
So that's kind of my plan as well. And so, yeah, we've got that coming up. And then 204 days until Gina's birthday at Copper Creek Cabins. And we're looking forward to celebrating that with her. And that'll be here in Walt Disney World. So I am really happy for that one to be able to come back in and check that out. And then 364 days. Wow, that's like
yesterday, a year from yesterday.
Yeah, like a year from yesterday. We'll be getting on the cruise that Gina just got off of today. And she's going to repeat it next year because I couldn't go this time. And so next year I was like, well, I want to go on this cruise. And she's like, well, let's just do this again. And then this way I don't have to travel out there for spring break. And I was like, perfect. So we've got a DCL cruise booked. That's just, I think it's a 4-nighter to drop down from San Diego to Mexico.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because I've never been on that particular ship. And that'll be my 3rd ship of the 5 right now, soon to be 6.
Well,
so
I need to, Chad. I'm just tired thinking about all these trips you're going on.
Yeah, well, it got to the point where I had to get an app to just start organizing it all, Andy. And so once I did this, because Gina would normally just run them off because we plan a lot of meetups and trips together. So it was, I usually just me to it, right? It's like, okay, Gina's rolling through her list and it's like, yeah, I'm at that one. I'm at that one. Oh, I'm not doing that one. And that's how we would handle this as well. But and today, it's we don't have our producer. She's on vacation. And that's what happens to our show a lot is we've got a team, and sometimes it's hard to get people to pull together to pull off a show because we're all enjoying the product so much, Andy. It's just kind of the nature of the beast, right?
You got it.
So what about you, Andy? Any ABDs on the book for you?
Only one trip planned. I think it's 167 days. We are going to Egypt for 2 weeks. I got to tell
Nice.
my boss though I'm leaving because I need time away from the office.
Yeah,
We might be able to do a live post or something from there. Maybe a couple of them.
yeah, let's
Ride
do
a
one.
camel or something like that. Ooh.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to come back in and do that, Andy. We'll definitely have to come back in and do it.
That will be our 10th ABD trip. So we're halfway to our goal. We want to do 20 in total. After this one, I believe Jolie has planned for next year, 2025, to hit our final continent in the world. Do you know which one that is, Chad?
See, it's not Antarctica because you did
No.
that one. It's not North America because you're here now.
Yeah, I'm going to come
Right?
visit.
So maybe South America? Like,
No, we were there when we went on to Antarctica, right? We had to fly into Argentina and
okay.
Brazil.
Okay, so let's see. Then I don't know of anything on India. I haven't heard that.
It's not a continent.
Well, it's part of one, so
Oh, okay, Gina, maybe you can help Chad with some geography. So maybe fifth grade geography.
yeah,
We are going down under in 2025.
Oh, okay. Are you gonna hit a DCL cruise that's going out of Sydney as well?
We haven't decided that. I think it's just going to be the ABD trip.
Okay. Well, I guess that. Yeah, I guess I'll take that.
I
take
do
that
whatever I'm told.
Yep. And
just makes life a whole lot easier.
That it does, Andy. That it does. So let's catch up with some of our comments and see when everybody else is going home. And so Christy says hi. Megan says hello. Christy B says 12 days to villas at Disneyland Hotel, 19 days to VDH again. Christy, I'd just stay there. I don't know about you. I mean, I'd just stay. I mean,
why go back and forth?
Yeah, why go back and forth, right? I think she lives in Vegas, so it's a short commute, but it's not that bad. And so Carol says 16 days until Grand Cal.
Oh, Carol, I'm so sorry. I will miss you there.
Yeah.
And David too.
Yeah, Megan says we're waiting on Rofer for our first contract, and the wait is agonizing. The wait for the Rofer monster is just atrocious. That's why we call it the Rofer monster. It has earned that name, right?
Megan, you got it covered. No worries. Let us worry for you.
Yeah. As long as you're not buying Grand Flow or Poly right now, your chances are pretty good. And as long as you didn't legally try to steal one of those contracts with such a great deal, your chances are pretty good because they're really only taking the bottom end on those. And Matt says 23 days until our 4-day DCL cruise, followed with 4 nights at SSR. And
welcome home soon, Matt.
Yeah, welcome home. That's what we're talking about. Now, Steve here can hang with us, right? 4 days until VDH Studio, 46 days till Grand Cal 1 bedroom, 96 days to Grand Cal 2 bedroom, 121 days to Riviera Tower Studio, followed by a DCL cruise, 186 to VDH Grand Villa, and then the Oogie Boogie Bash. So
I am tired thinking about what Steve and Nick are going to do.
I'm telling you, it's yeah. And thank you guys to Steve and Nick will be the ones that are be hosting our meetup in the Grand Villa as well. So mega thanks to you guys. Thanks.
Well, if you're doing the points there, maybe they'll pay for my airline flight too.
I think you can cover that yourself, Andy.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll have to
you got that one down, buddy. You got that one down.
Call the boss and see.
And poor Judy is she doesn't have anything planned, but she's commutable distance to Walt Disney World, so that could change in a minute. And then Matt Hill says first DCL cruise.
Ooh,
that's always going to be fun. I've done one, and I want to do more. I've got 2 more scheduled. 2 more scheduled.
Hi, Carol and David.
So Carol says hi, and then Megan says, I can't wait to start planning. We're so excited. And then Matt Hill says, we loved our first ABD in Norway this past September.
Yeah. Norway was one of our favorite trips, especially the visiting the food market in Bergen, which is where the ABD trip starts from.
Yep. And then Carol comments on your vacation planning. Happy wife, happy life, Andy. And then just to back up what Jimmy says here, Andy Berry is the best.
Oh, thanks, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. We love Andy, and he's pretty popular in our community as well. So he's served a lot of our folks with excellence over the years. Andy, it has been like 5 years, has it?
March. May 1st is my 5th anniversary, starting with the DVC Resale Market.
Yeah, wow, that is
hard to believe. I was doing a count between when I was a direct guide to the time here at DVC Resale Market, and I've helped over 16,500 different families experience the magic, whether it was a direct purchase or an add-on or a resale purchase.
Wow, dude, that's like an incredible career.
It's and the funny part, I could tell you stories about not all of them, but a fair number of them. That's how involved I get with the process, and it brings joy to my heart to be able to share the love of the product with the community and let them experience things at a fraction of the cost to go in and spending direct money there.
Yeah, I'm telling you. And Rob's here says May 27th to June 2nd has a 1-bedroom at Boardwalk, and that'll be here before you know it.
Yeah, it's a couple of days away almost.
Yeah, Rob, I'm planning on being in town here. I think Mercy, it's a Christian group that's doing the Garden Rocks concert then as well. It's on my calendar. I don't know who it is, but I knew I was going to plan my Memorial Day weekend here just to see that concert. And the Rofer Monster.
I think the show's over now. I've seen enough.
I was going to say, you're going to get a lot of hate here, Rofer Monster. Like 93 days till Grand Cal, 100 days till Aulani. And that's the way you do it right there. Grand Cal and Aulani combined. That's the DVC bifecta.
And to come back a month later and go to Boardwalk.
Yeah. And then to come back and go to Boardwalk, and then 258 to Copper Creek. So
it's not like come back and go to Boardwalk. It's come back and a month later go to Boardwalk. I mean, Grand Cal, bang, top. Aulani, top, bang. Boardwalk.
Well, I mean, it's probably because the Roper Monster here is stealing all of our points in our contracts is why they get to go so much, right?
It could be, hopefully, let's hope, and maybe I'll pay for the first round, that the Roper Monster here will drink their way around the world when they're staying at Boardwalk and wobble back to the resort.
Well, there's always that, right? Creative name there. We love it. And Carol says add-on with Andy. And I tried to talk him into doing
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Add-onitis with Andy Berry, right? And we just never got it to take off, right? And yeah, Rob, let me know. Shoot me an email, mydvcpoints@gmail.com. And Judy says, I just booked Copper Creek in 204 days. See, she didn't want to be shamed like that. So she had to have something on the books. Good job, Judy. Good job.
Books.
Yeah.
It's like book it, Dano.
Yeah. And then Brian here says 62 days until Poly, 6 month-ish to Grand Flow. To Villas at the Grand Flow, BGF.
Grand Flow.
And that's my numbers are coming in a little crazy here. Well, I'm going to drop everybody down, clear off the screen, and we're going to roll our pre-show countdown here, and we'll officially get started. And by the way, you guys go ahead and ask us anything. You can put it in the comments now below while this is rolling, and we'll get this show kicked off.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland,
New York,
New Jersey,
Indianapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan,
Massachusetts, Georgia, Canada,
Our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesia,
Bay Lake Tower,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Aulani Resort,
Hilton Head,
Boulder Ridge, Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
to my
DVC voice.
Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 150 of our Community Hall Live podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at DVCResaleMarket.com. And I'm not going to have to do much of an ad read tonight because our friend Andy Berry is here tonight to answer anybody's questions in the community. Every now and then we like to just do a simple live show that says, ask us anything. We literally have no agenda tonight. It's all on you guys and the live viewers that are coming back in and posting your questions and comments, and we'll do our best to answer it. If we don't know, we'll tell you we don't know. And if it's really interesting, we'll go research it and figure it out together. So let me welcome back to the show my good friend of over 5 years now.
Hard
So,
to
Mr.
believe.
Andy Berry.
Oh my God, look who joined us today. It's my other good friend, Jessie. She just joined us because she's a new addition to the family. Well, not really, but she's here now. Bye.
I'm loving the goofy shirt tonight, Andy. Absolutely
It's natural. It's a natural place for me to wear this on the show.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it really is. So
we were out and about a little bit today, and I got about 3 or 4, or maybe I think it was maybe more than that, probably about 5 or 6 comments about this T-shirt. Somebody wanted to know where I bought it, and I said, "Gosh, I only know." But I buy a lot of my Disney stuff at the parks when I'm there, or Walmart has a pretty good selection too, as well.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
It's easy on the pocketbook.
Yeah, you can't go wrong at like Walmart. And the one thing I can tell you, the ones that are here next to Disney is they're at least officially licensed products, and they're halfway decent quality because they have to come back in and do that.
Yeah.
So, and Steve saying from Nick, describe the first time. Describe the first time.
It's like the first date we had, Chad. When's the first date? Can you describe the first date we had? I know what it was.
Do you? I think Nick sent me a note or something saying, "Hey, we've got a new guy coming on board."
Yep.
And I instantly reached out and was like, "Ooh, fresh meat! Like I'm looking for people to interview to the show."
And then you sent me a box with a microphone in it, and we did a podcast. And I had one of my dogs with me. I don't know if you remember that. She was at the feet underneath my feet. So that was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was pre-COVID, because pre-COVID, nobody knew how to like set up microphones and cameras and Zoom and all that other stuff. So I had to like mail people a microphone, and God, we probably mailed that to like 20, 30 people. And now everybody's got it figured all out because of COVID and the lockdown. So I don't mail mics anymore. And
I think I started a tradition with when I mailed it out to the next person. I put in a note and a pin, a Disney pin to share.
Yeah, and people kind of signed it as a logbook, and
it was kind of fun.
I should go find that sometime, and that'd be a good stroll down memory lane as well. And
that's how we dated first, Steve.
Yeah, that was it. That was our first meeting.
First date.
And then Andy like shared the show out and invited a bunch of people into our group, and it just like it's kind of you came in, and when we were starting to take off, we had already just started, and it just like exploded from there. And definitely a key part of our program, our community, and everything we've done. Because I think I looked it up today, and it was like episode 25 or 28.
Wow.
And we're up to almost 300 on the main show. So
wow.
That's some serious episodes that go back there. And
true, that's a lot. Think about
so now Nick wants to know, what's the most underrated Disney attraction from any park?
Gosh.
Underrated.
God, that's a tough one.
I was kind of upset when It's Tough to Be a Bug got ripped out of Disneyland, and it's going to get ripped out of, Animal Kingdom here as well. I just dig that thing. I think it's 4D theater done so incredibly well. When little kids are terrified to go in there or terrified to go back because of their first experience, and they think live bugs are getting them. Like, the Imagineers and Disney just nailed that thing, right? And I need to go back in and put it into my regular rotation, Andy.
Wow.
And to me, that's one of my most underrated, what most people don't like, but I actually love. And
see, I'm going to go back a couple of years. I'm going to go back before Ratatouille made its way to the U.S. And when I rode that in with Jillian, our youngest daughter, on her high school graduation trip to Paris, that ride was amazing. And I'm glad they brought it over here. Now, I'd love to see, although I don't think they could ever do it, would be Crush's Coaster brought over to the United States. That's an amazing attraction. And that's again at Paris Disneyland. And that's an attraction that
Hmm.
Just make sure you don't eat before you go on.
Yeah, because it's a spinning coaster, right? It's like Slinky Dog, but your carts can spin 360, right?
Yeah, it's pretty nauseating.
Yeah.
I kept seeing people come off and shaking their heads, and every time I got closer to the line, I was like, Julian, I really don't want to go. And she goes, oh, come on, Dad, you got to go on this one. I was like, and when we got off, I was like, oh man, my stomach was still in the ride, and my legs were I don't know where, and just glad I didn't eat before I went.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. So Judy's got a great question here, and she's asking the wrong people. Okay. She goes, I want to go to Aulani. I thought about buying points there. Do you feel that that is necessary over having points someplace else? I love your Goofy shirt. Goofy is my guy. So, Andy, what's your thoughts here? It's
We've talked about this many times, Chad, that Aulani is a great resort to own for networking points because it's got a nice long extended deed. The price per point is very attractive right now.
and it's a great $102 a point. Yeah.
Yep. It's a great resort to be able to call home, even if you plan on going there once every 3 years or every 4 years or every 5 years, because it's going to get busy as it always has. And at some point in time, it's going to get very tough to make a reservation there over spring break or the summer or winter, the fall break or Christmas break.
It's already getting tough to book there in the low point seasons.
Yeah.
So if you want to go end of June, right when school gets out, that's like season 2 out of 4 in there.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get. You got to walk the reservation to get in there then.
Yeah. And Judy, just in case you didn't know, there's a 4-part series that Chad pulled together on Aulani. And they're long podcasts. I think maybe an hour and a half each. But it's going to give you great insights of why people like Aulani, what's there to do there. And that's going back, I don't know, Chad, what do you think? 3 years, 4 years?
3 years. Yeah.
Ago?
Yeah. It's mydvcpoints.com/AUL will get you right to that page. Yeah. And then you can see.
And I would probably spend my time focusing on episode number 3. Because I think
that's the one that you were on.
Like, come on, Chad. That was the best one. You should have started with number 3 and then done 1, 2, 4.
Yeah. Okay. We can dress him up. Well, I don't know. He's wearing a Goofy shirt. We can't even dress him up and take him anywhere. Yeah.
Let me see if I can get Goofy here. Hold on a second.
Anyways, Judy, I would see if I could find subsidized dues points contracts that match your contract. If you're going to look at Aulani, if you can, that's a winner. And you have to decide how much you really want to go back to Aulani. You can book it once on your existing points and then try it out. And if you really fall in love with the resort, and this is someplace you want to go back to, definitely consider adding on there.
Killer resort.
Yeah. Love Aulani. And Rye lives right down the road from it. So it's perfect timing here. He goes, not related to DVC, but congrats on the move to Tennessee, Andy. How are you liking it so far as opposed to California?
It's just an amazing experience. I was telling Chad a little bit before we got on air. This past Tuesday, we had a very, very quick severe storm come through the area, and I literally stood with in our garage and watched the lightning display and fireworks show, and it was so cool because I hadn't seen that for decades, and just the southern hospitality here is amazing. I've kicked around the idea with a couple DVC members that live real close by that maybe we'll do like a Memphis area or sort of East Tennessee meetup, whether it's Nashville or where we live outside Memphis. But Tennessee's an amazing, amazing state to live in. And heck, when you don't have to pay state income tax, you can't ask for much more than that.
No.
But thanks so much, Ryan. I appreciate that.
Yeah, both of my parents are from East Tennessee. And so it's, as my pappy would say, if your mama was Hispanic and your daddy was Hispanic, what would that make you? I go, okay, Tennessee. Hispanic. And he goes, well, let me tell you something. Your mama is a hillbilly and your daddy is a hillbilly. What does that make you? I'm like, well, I can't argue with your logic there, Pop. So it's in my DNA. Tennessee would be my second or third state of choice.
But I haven't found a Disney store yet here. But maybe we'll find someone soon.
It's a short flight to Orlando or Anaheim, Andy. Like you're like midway between the whole place. So
Yeah.
yeah. And Megan wants to know, do you think there'll be a new DVC property to go with the upcoming expansion at Walt Disney World? If so, what and where? And
That's a tough question.
Megan, the only thing that I know of is some site studies that they were doing near the entrance to Epcot. And that would be just a killer place to put a resort. They were checking like the ground for feasibility of building a resort right there by the front of Epcot, like near where the buses are today, to see if they could put a DVC or a deluxe hotel there. We don't know if it would be DVC. I'm assuming they would add on a DVC part to it. And that would just be a killer location if they could. But I don't think around the backside of Magic Kingdom where they're looking to expand, that's all like super, super, super swampy back there. And they're going to have to drain some swamp to pull that off. And not that that's anything, a big engineering feat or unusual for Florida, but I don't know.
You got the environmentalists will not really want to support something like that.
Yeah. But Disney has offsets in other lands and all of this other stuff. So they're constantly buying other land to set up as preserves so that they can move around and hit all of that. So yeah, that would be the only one that I know of. Have you and that was just like from like various news sources saying Disney filed ground permits to do the testing. We know the soil around Crescent Lake cannot support another resort. It would be killer to have one across the street from Copper Creek right on Crescent Lake, but the ground just won't support it. And so far they have chosen not to do that. But yeah, it's the only ones that I know of. Megan, I would be looking at that Poly Tower though, if I was you and I was looking to get a blue card and all that. Get your resale to close, let it chill, hang out, and then consider Poly Tower. Yeah, that's where I would be looking.
Could almost ask the same question as with the rumor of the Disneyland expansion. Do you think there'll be another DVC property to go in there?
I don't know where they would put it from like room wise. And from what I've heard through the grapevine, they thought Disneyland Tower was it, like the last hurrah. So
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is the last hurrah, because land is just so pricey and precious there. And right now that Disneyland Tower is not performing all that well from a sales perspective. They got all their initial demand that was pent up. They cleared all that off the books. And now what they've negotiated with the transient tax and everything else that's there, members just aren't going for it. So yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of DVC when you check out and have to pay a $600 bill. Like you're killing me here.
Yeah.
And Matt's saying, what do you think about the current Riviera incentives? I haven't looked at them yet, Matt, but you can get my opinion on it here in probably about a week or two. Maybe I'll get to it tomorrow night if I can get another show out. I've been like doing nothing but shows because I'm going to Detroit Tuesday for a week, and I really don't work on the show when I'm there with family. But right now, from what I've seen on it, when it's selling for $120 on the resale market, why would you want to pay $220 a point for it? Like you're just asking for a financial bloodbath. It's just not good, not pretty whatsoever. The losses. Have you had a chance to look at them, Andy?
No, I mean, the direct pricing for Riviera is just a little bit above what most people are considering. Even with the incentives, you take it down to 180, 190, 170. It still doesn't make sense to pay a premium of 30%, 40, 35% to buy direct.
No, it's
not with the restrictions.
No. And the restrictions killed their product. And you know what I'm saying? It's like you lost the fan base with those. So now, Matt, if your family is like digging on Riviera and you're Riviera super fans, and that's where you want to stay, I wouldn't fault you either way. If you bought direct or if you bought resale, if you're of the family that says, hey, look, I know I'm keeping this till the day I die. Right. And then I don't care what kind of bloodbath it is, because you're never going to sell it and experience that. right? And you're just getting it
Or
all.
Matt consider something like a small 50-point contract where you can bank and borrow, and every 3 years you're going to go there.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is an interesting question here. Brian says, you get a specific DVC genie. What are your 3 wishes on things you'd improve about DVC specifically?
Ooh. Now, I guess the real question is, do you want to use all 3 wishes, or do you want to use 2 and save the last one for the genie?
Yeah. I guess I'm going to be nice and save the last one for the genie, but I feel like that's a little bit of a cop out to his question here. So
No,
the
that gives
first
you
one,
you have one answer and me to one answer.
oh, okay. Well, I'm killing the restrictions. I am like getting rid of those things because I think they took a phenomenal product and they fundamentally broke it. And they broke it so that it doesn't have value to the second buyer. And they're leaving their customer on the hook for that big financial loss. And yeah. The second thing I would be is no transient taxes. Like I wish they'd just figure out a way to negotiate that in, do something, somehow make it more affordable as well. But those would be my 2 things as well. And if I had a third one, I would probably wish for something like really creative so that these resale restrictions, if they're going to keep them, and I can't get my first one, that at least the people on resale can get like a 6-month window to come someplace else, right? Or something along those lines. So it's not so punitive in killing the product. So yes, there is a perk that goes forward in resale, that you can always book at the 7-month mark, right? Or I wish they would make like a 9-month mark or something along those lines and somehow fundamentally change those restrictions to allow more flexibility. If they still have to have something there that says, look, there's a penalty for not buying this from us, but it's not so brutal as you can only never stay there, because then eventually that hurts the owners of that property.
Yeah.
Because now everybody that owns that property can only stay there. So they're all booking at 11 months as well. And it's just, you're hurting the direct owners over time as well. You don't think you are, but eventually you will be. So yeah, great question. Any thoughts here for the DVC genie?
I was going to say I would probably only have one request for the DVC team, is to restore the magic back to what it was like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, where the members feel like an elite group of people who are owners at the resorts. Whereas, have the cast be re-energized, refocused, that the DVC members literally are the best members that Disney has. You can almost call them best shareholders that Disney has, best customers, aside from somebody who owns stock in it. Because there's a lot of families out there who have spent anywhere from $5,000 up to $500,000 to buy points and to experience the magic time and time again. And I would want to see that magic feeling back. When you check into a resort, doesn't matter which resort, but somehow their internal computer system says DVC members, and they know that. And the first thing that comes out of there is, "Hi, how can I help you?"
Welcome home, right?
Welcome home.
Welcome home, right? That's our code word that says we know you're a DVC member, right?
Maybe, and along those lines, and we've talked about this a lot of times when I was at Disneyland, is why not have a separate check-in area for DVC members, sort of like a frequent flyer program or a club where somebody gets a little special. Yeah,
if you check into a Hilton or a Marriott or something like that, their loyalty program people have their own check-in lines.
Yeah.
Why aren't we recognized and treated like royalty for our loyalty?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, to me, those would be 2. Is restore the magic more than what's already out there already today, and look for some reason to make members feel that extra special feeling when they're visiting.
Got it. And
good question, Brian. That was excellent.
Yeah, a really good question here. And so, um, so Holly just says, "Yay, Andy," and then Megan says she is waiting for Polly. And this is a odd question. Judy lives in the Villages. So remember how I told you she has like a reasonable commute to Walt Disney World? When my brother came down, she took us on a tour of the Villages, and she's wondering if he has scheduled his like lifestyle visit to try it out there yet. And I think his general take on the Villages was really positive, but he looked at it and said, I would rather live closer to Orlando and to the airport so that I could get home to Michigan, travel, whatever. It was like it was a little too remote for him, is kind of what he looked at. I don't believe he's going to be scheduling that, although he is still looking at possibly getting a teaching license here and coming down. So we'll see. And so Rob says the restrictions are only reason I think I haven't bought a Riviera or Disneyland Tower. And I didn't mind it at Disneyland Tower so much because I know there's no other options there. And I know there's a bunch of California loyalists or Disneyland people that would love to own DVC. So I don't feel like I'm going to have that hard a time selling it when it's time to pass it on. But at the same point in time, I'm looking at my family and my kids all enjoy going to Disney. So I don't think we'll end up being that need to sell that. And if I do have to sell DVC, it'll be the last thing I sell out of like 7 contracts. So, and Sandpiper would love a new property off Disney property, Cape Cod, Martha's Vineyard, or the Caribbean. Would they consider this, or is this a no way after the inability of Aulani to sell out? Ooh, yeah, boy, that's a hard hitting question, right?
There was always a lot of conversation on, maybe like Salt Lake City or Park City, Utah, like a ski resort, Steamboat Springs, Colorado. But again, there's probably a lot of studies still going on, but the inability to sell out Aulani, maybe, you could go back and say, well, did they build Aulani too large? Maybe was the appetite too big for it and not realize that it was going to take this long to sell out? I don't think I necessarily see them going to the Caribbean. The Northeast would be a kind of fun place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it would be. The issue with those things is they're seasonal. They're very seasonal resorts. Whereas Walt Disney World has done a great job of making this a year-round destination. Oh, we have this dead spot in February. Throw a run weekend in there. Oh, we've got this dead thing here. Throw a festival, right? They've done a great job making this a year-round destination. And I don't know that they could do that if there wasn't a theme park attached to it.
Yeah, so, when it's 10 degrees in February in Martha's Vineyard or Cape Cod.
Well, I mean, look at the 6
attraction to get people there.
Yeah, look at the 6 points a night for a studio at Hilton Head in January. Like 6 points is just insanely cheap. And I've actually stayed in one of those rooms. I went to visit it one January. I looked down and Delta had like, sub $200 round trip flights, and I had points, and I was like, hey, let's make this happen. And I flew right into the island for under $200. So it was a great little research trip to go check things out. But I don't know that Disney's going to go away from their theme parks anymore. And I would be shocked if they renew Hilton Head and Vero Beach. I think come 2042, thank you, members, we're going to take our resort back, and they're going to sell it off to some other owner, strip off all the Mickey influences, so it's no longer looking like a Disney resort. And I think they're gone. I don't think they're going to renew. So that's just my own take of it, because look at what the resale price is on them now, and they can't really sell those points on par with what they're selling now. So
you can almost say Hilton Head, I understand that logic and discussion easier than Vero Beach, because Vero Beach is only 90 minutes away from Walt Disney World, and it still has a tie. Maybe there's ways to increase the marketability of that, or maybe you run a day shuttle, leaves at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, gets to the parks at 8 o'clock, and then it leaves to go home at night at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. There may be ways to increase the marketability of Vero Beach and its ties to the theme parks.
Yeah, or its ties to Port Canaveral and Disney Cruise Line, right? Yeah. It's like, because you've got another and it's not too far from Port Everglades as well. I looked it up.
Yeah.
It's about a 2-hour drive down there.
Always surprised
Yeah.
that they never did something more along those lines, but maybe it's a little
Yeah.
bit more complicated than we just trying to think about it.
Yeah, I think our chances of seeing something like that are incredibly low, just based on what we've seen from where members want to buy. It's
Good
almost like
question,
if you're
Sam Parker, though.
yeah, it's a
Sorry.
great question. Great question. And so Jamie says, thoughts on the best 2-bedroom villas at Walt Disney World that are attainable at the 7-month mark we own at VDH.
Oh. Mhm.
Well, I think the best that's easiest to get is Savannah View at Animal Kingdom. So that is going to be almost guaranteed availability at 7 months, unless it's a Run Disney weekend or something else. The other part of it is you're doing 2 bedrooms, so you're not into the main fight for like the studios are. So I think your shots at the 2-bedroom at Animal Kingdom are awesome. I know you're going to be able to get Old Key West and Saratoga. Those are the biggest, next 2 biggest resorts, the last to sell out.
Mm.
From there, man, I think you can probably snag Riviera. Is pretty awesome. I'm a big 3-bedroom person, so Animal Kingdom and Bay Lake Tower are my jam. When I'm traveling with enough people that I need a 2-bedroom, I want that additional bathroom. And so that's what I would say my best ones were. But that's just me based on my bathroom stuff, right? We have done a review and a walkthrough and like a resort wiki. Maybe I'll pull that up and share this. I did have a browser here, so let me. I got to take that down. Present.
Well, Chad's answering that. Whoa. We're looking for that. Jamie, I would also say, depending on the season, I think Aulani is a fairly easy 2-bedroom villa secure.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
you said at Walt Disney World. I'm so sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah, so like let's say you wanted to come back in and check out Bay Lake Tower. You could just go to Resort Research Bay Lake Tower, and then Sing keeps all of this updated for us and for the dues, the resale prices. It looks like we haven't done it since February, so we're a little behind. Not too much. And then we've got some point charts on here. You can check out room inventory as well if you want to know how many rooms are there to wait list. And then we've got the 3D virtual tours, and we've shared and linked videos for whenever we can. Looks like they take that YouTube video and made it private. That one. Wow. A lot of those they've taken down. So that one's not. So we're going to have to come back in and refresh those. But what we did was we looked through the YouTube videos that we thought were best and kind of linked them into the site as well. So that's kind of what we did on that particular point. And that's how you can come in and check all that out. So great question. And then Megan says, DVC properties at other parks would be amazing. I agree with you. I wish they would do international ones, but Andy, have you heard anything as to the reasons or rationale why they're not doing those?
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy for the Asian theme parks because they're not owned by Disney. So Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea are owned by Oriental Land Corporation, and Shanghai Disney is a partnership with the country of China, People's Republic of China. So those 3 are sort of out no matter what. Paris, is now back controlled by Disney. I just don't think that there's enough of an interest or a desire to want to tie up that kind of money into it. I mean, there's 4 options at Paris Disneyland and places to stay. So I think they probably feel like they'd rather milk the cash cow somehow.
Yeah,
Just
could
my
be.
thought.
I mean, it's a whole big bag of international hoops. I think if they really wanted to do, I mean, they opened up a whole theme park there. They should be able to open up a resort timeshare.
Yeah.
Like it's not like those concepts are new and they don't exist in those countries. So it would just be a matter of, can they do it? And do they want that? And are they looking for the cross traffic and cross pollination? Tokyo Disney is probably can hang with our parks, but I don't know that Shanghai is big enough or has enough people and draw and all of that. And Hong Kong is just so small that I don't know that that's a possibility there either. But I would love it. I would absolutely positively love it. And I think that would also be great for us to have more diversity in the DVC members because believe it or not, we have a lot of Japanese owners of DVC that buy into Aulani. And there's a whole call center for DVC at Aulani, and they are fluent in Japanese and they handle those people in Japanese. So the market's there. The international people do buy DVC. It's, I just don't know why we haven't done it yet. I guess I would have to do, right? So,
Well, it comes down to, again, ownership.
yeah,
Ownership of the parks.
Pennycuff Barry 2024. I think that's going to be Barry Pennycuff. I'm more of a VP. He's more of the president kind of a thing. And so Rover Monster says, DVC Genie, bring back Magical Express and then set yourself free. So that's a pretty easy request. Pretty easy request. And then Frank 22 is it the case where resale restrictions actually help the owners of the original resort in the long run as those restrictions can't book at the originals? No, because what happens is their own people, their own owners are forced to stay at that resort. So that's more competition at the 11-month mark for that resort. And then there's less competition at the 7-month mark when it rolls over to it because everybody was forced to book at 11 months.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I frankly would eliminate the restrictions because that would help sell Riviera. It would help sell Disneyland Tower. It would help sell maybe the new I don't know what to say, cabins, the Fort Wilderness.
Yeah.
I almost said trailer park, but
yeah. And then Frank's follow-up question is, could it be that the cabins combined with a new reflections tower would be combined with that tower, and that's why the trust is flexible? We don't know.
Yeah.
That's what's just chapping my hide on this, is the people at Disney haven't been direct and forthright as to what flexible means and what their plans and intentions are for this. It's like, if they're going to do that, great. Are they going to come back in and, combine it with like leftover points they can't sell at the other restricted resorts? We don't know what they're going to do. Like, tell us what your intentions are with this. To just say we're holding more flexibility cards out here and it could radically change the program, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? And until you tell me what I'm buying and what that means. And do we have a 5th park at Walt Disney World 10 years from today? 10 years, like, give me 20 and maybe. But it's taken 5 years to just get the walls down at Epcot, and then they're going to be down for like a week and they're going right back up at Test Track. So like, I mean, Epic Universe, will they have a 5th park in 10 years from now? I think that's more likely to happen because look at the pace that's coming back in at. And this will be their 4th gate right now at Epic. So yeah, I'm going to say in 10 years from now, we should have the expansion to Epic Universe, which would be at Sister Park, opened and going up by then. That one I can see because those people they mean business over there.
How about take a little spin to that? How about, do you see another cruise ship in 10 years?
If sales persist, I could definitely see that happening because we know we're getting a 7th ship. And so adding an 8th onto this, I don't think 8 ships is it's still a small fleet compared to like Royal and Caribbean and some of the big dogs, right? So
do you think they retire with the Wonder or the Magic?
I think it would have to get to the point where the operational cost of maintaining it and keeping it to a Disney level of standards would dip to the point where it doesn't make financial sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to bring a newer product on.
Yeah, I think they could come back in and say, okay, we're gonna strip it, gut it, we're gonna sell it to a smaller cruise line or a startup or something along those lines. And that's what I think will happen there. When it gets to the point where it's too expensive to maintain to Disney standards, That's what I predict. Jamie says, I'm not opposed to a 3-bedroom either. If I have the points available, I need at least a 2-bedroom because we have 4 kids. Not sure my extended family would gladly help us fill that space. Oh, and Andy, definitely want to try Aulani one of these days.
Let me know when you go there, or before you go there. I can help you with things to do around the island. We spend a lot of time there, and I can help you enhance your experience. Jamie, reach out anytime.
So if we're getting into 3 bedrooms here, I would be on Old Key West 3 bedrooms at the 7-month mark like a hawk, and maybe even try to walk them a few days or a week to get one of those, because you can get a 3-bedroom for not many more points than a 2-bedroom at like Grand Flow. It's that insanely cheap on the point charts. It is just like mind blown, like how cheap those point charts are. And
let me modify the question a little bit to what's the most favorite 3-bedroom grand villa in Disney World?
I'm a huge fan of the flat layers. Okay. So I've stayed at the Old Key West 2-bedroom. It's an up and down, and then you got to take stairs up to it. So if stairs are an issue, it's completely off the table.
Yeah.
If we take all the double deckers off the table, then Copper Creek is pretty epic. Grand Flow is epic, and Boardwalk looks epic as well.
Yeah. The Grand Flow 3-bedroom grand villa is the most amazing resort out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably the king of the kings right there. And then if you're into Animal Kingdom, that 3-bedroom at Jumbo is just to die for, with the pool table and the posh layout and the animals, and the whole resort's coming together really well. So that's kind of my take there. And so Frank is saying, I recall that a major improvement to Genie Plus was promised for January 24. Did that ever happen? Is there something better coming soon? And I think January, they changed the annual pass restrictions so that you don't have to have a restriction after like 2 p.m. or 4. You don't have to have a reservation after 2 or 4. And so I rarely ever make a reservation these days. I just show up and I'm good. I know Saturday and Sunday I have to have one for Magic Kingdom, but I rarely go to Magic Kingdom because it's just so difficult to get into with parking and tram and monorail. And so, yeah, it's, but we're still waiting for what they're going to say is going to improve for Genie Plus. And my prediction for what it's going to be is you're going to be able to pre-book some of them like the old Fast Pass days. So maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, but no more than 3. It's you're going to be able to buy it ahead of time, and you're going to be able to book some ahead of time like the old Fast Pass, because Disney fundamentally is a vacation for planners, and they're trying to make it not for planners, and the planners just aren't having it. And that's kind of what's going on there as well. And Linda's digging on your shirt. And then this is Nick, Andy, AKA the best DVC agent alive. What are the largest and smallest contracts, direct or resale, you've ever sold, and to what resorts?
Smallest I ever sold was 25 points, and it sold it numerous times. The largest point contract I ever sold was a couple of 1,500 point contracts. There was one contract I did when I was at Disneyland as a direct guide. I did 15 100-point contracts. It was a stack of paper almost as tall as Tower of Terror. But it was done for a reason where the buyer wanted to leverage the ability to be able to resell those down the road.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. It's
the best thing I ever did when I was a direct guide was to split up larger contracts into smaller pieces to help preserve the value for the buyers at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, the largest one I've seen on resale was just over 1,000 points. It was a guaranteed fixed week at Aulani.
Yep.
And it was like 160 grand or something like that. It was an insane amount of money. And Yeah, it was just crazy, crazy, crazy insane.
But when I was there at Disneyland, the largest contract I had seen come through the system was a family did buy 7,000 points at Aulani. And I don't know if they split it up into multiple contracts. I'm going to guess they did.
Yeah, I would hope they did. Yeah.
But I remember that sale going down.
Okay, great question, Nick.
That's a good one.
I imagine you probably sold a 25er at every resort that can sell 25.
I would probably guess yes.
I mean, you'd get add-ons from everybody, right?
Yeah, we back when you could find a 25-point contract direct, it was an easy way for a member to with a upcoming use year. So, for example, we're now in April. So, if somebody came into the preview center with a June use year and wanted to add on points, it was a pretty simple one to do 25 points because they get 25 points from the prior year plus new points coming in just several weeks. So it was a little bit of a whiz bang double bonus.
Yeah, a 25 pointer. What is that? $5,000 or something? Not even.
Yeah, back then it was $3,000, $125 a point.
Yeah, you could easily pull that one off and swing that as well.
Yep.
So then let's see. Megan says, when will the length of contract life start to really affect resale pricing of the 2042 resorts?
Good question.
I think it already has.
I think it has to.
I think the reality is finally starting to set in when we start to see Old Key West drop down to like $89 a point or back into the 80s. I think the reality has started to set in. It's taken a long time.
Chad, there's contracts out there now for $70 a point, because in reality, it's not 18 years left of the useful life. It's only 17 years.
And if you buy it stripped,
there's no points coming in 2042.
Yeah, no points in 2042. 2041 is your last set of points.
So here's a good question on top of that one, Megan. If I have a December use year as an owner, I get points on December 1st, 2041. Does that mean I only have 60 days to use those points? Ooh.
Let's hope DVC has a little bit of grace and a little bit
firming going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely. Now you could borrow those points ahead of time and try to book something.
You could, right? But what happens for somebody who doesn't want to?
So, well, you better be happy to go those first 2 months of your use year
during the first two run Disney weeks in January.
Yeah, you're going Christmas that year and run Disney, and the good news is you're going to have 11-month priority on your home resort. So and
there's a lot of interesting things coming up on the strategic side of DVC of what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, when they can announce things like this. 17 years is not that far away.
No, it's really not. It's really not. And will the Sea Ray boats ever come back? I think those things are gone for good. I think they were a casualty of COVID, and I'm sad because I wanted to do them with my son and I didn't get a chance to. So I'm really, 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 really sad. And so Andy, do you know what those are? Because you're a Disneyland guy. It's along the lakes of Crescent Lake may have had them, but I know for a fact Seven Seas Lagoon did and Bay Lake had them. They were little tiny 2-seater Sea Ray boats that had a little outboard motor on the back of it.
Oh, yeah.
And you could drive them around Bay Lake and all.
You could rent them.
Yeah, you could rent them and drive them around certain areas. If you went into other areas, they'd flag you down and you can't go there, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
But
years ago.
And then
that could be a liability issue nowadays too.
I think so. And I think they just don't want to have to police people on their own lakes where their own transportation boats are going. But Matt wants to know best tips for a first-time Disneylander. Andy, it's your home park. I'll let you start on it.
Well, I mean, if you get a reservation at Napa Rose, if you're celebrating a special event or occasion, I love that there. Make sure you stop by. There's a couple different places to pick up some trinkets and trash. I would stop by the preview center that's right at the Grand California. Stop at the one that's over at the new Disneyland Tower, and also make your way over to the member lounge if you have access to that. It's a lot of fun place to do. The member lounge at Disneyland is not used very well. I'm sorry, is not as crowded as the one in Disney World. That's the right way to say it. Things to do definitely there. I mean, you got to do heritage things like Haunted Mansion. If you can, when you're there,
Walk in Walt's footsteps or whatever.
Walk in Walt's Footsteps is a great tour. If you like the heritage of Disney, because you have to see Walt's apartment. It's the only way you can see it. Another one I think is kind of cool is ask somebody to show you the hidden pirate ships over in New Orleans Square.
Yeah.
I think that's a neat one. So that, and also at Swiss Family Robinson, have somebody point out to you the small little, I don't even know what it's called. The small little character they built at the bottom of one of the tree trunks. You'll see people over there taking pictures. Those are a couple things I would do. It's just, you're going to enjoy Disneyland for being able to go back and forth between the two parks. Relatively easy and relatively quick.
Yeah, there's no like transportation at Disneyland because you don't need it. It's
Yeah,
all really tight and really shoehorned in. There's not an inch of space wasted any place. So
I'll give you another best tip. I used to love this. We used to go about once a month. Off property, if you want to eat somewhere, check out about maybe a 2-block walk from the Grand California, a place called Mari's Pizza, MARI''S Pizza, right on Catella, just west of Magic Way. A phenomenal restaurant, relatively priced, very affordable relative to some of the other properties there or some of the other restaurants, and phenomenal food.
Yeah, I'll have to like put that on my list, Andy.
Yeah, Mari's Pizza. And they probably deliver to the Grand too if you wanted to do that, Chad, if you're doing a walkover. It's only basically a 2-block walk.
Yeah, okay. And then last question of the night. So Frank says, what's the single best deal for resale points you have seen in the last month or so?
I've seen some Aulani points fly off the shelf here at mid-80s. I've seen some Old Key West.
Andy, why are you telling me that? Like
Old Key West falling out of here at the low 70s. And this is going to sound funny because we talked a little bit about it from a standpoint of restrictions, but the Disneyland Tower listings that are out there are very, very attractively priced.
It's those people are bringing cash to the table, and you're getting at least their down payment plus more. And I think 150 was what I saw, and I know we had one at like 145-ish or something like that.
They've sold relatively low. Right now, we're looking at about, I think there's only a handful. There's 5 listings. Disneyland Tower, lowest price I think is 163 a point. And then the highest price is 189 a point. So that's going to stay for a little bit.
Yeah. And so, Brian, we've only had the Epcot Lounge and the new Stargazer Lounge or whatever it's called in Disneyland. And so it seems like they've gotten a little cheaper on the snacks and the drinks, but you can go back up and refill that Coke Zero cup as many times as you want. So,
but Chad, it's back to that question of what were the 3 wishes you'd want? Hey, just open it up, make the member feel special out going there. Put some Milano cookies back in 2 packs. Just make it a little bit more member friendly. We want you to be there. They should want you to spend time there, because the more time you enjoy it there, maybe there's a chance you consider, hey, honey, maybe we should add on, and maybe we should think about that.
Yeah. I think they should probably have put a bar in there, Andy. I really think they should have put a social engagement thing in there to spark conversation between guides and families, and done a little bit more with that to like help break down walls and get people talking with guides. And, I don't think it's a very well-known fact as well. The people who staff that rotate in from the member services call center. So
Good.
you actually get to talk to the people from member services right there, which is my favorite part of the lounge. And I
Yes, sir.
absolutely
In
love that.
Disneyland, they do the same thing, but they have guides there as well.
Yeah, they definitely have guides hanging out there in Disneyland as well. They're always trying to do that as well. And so Brian says he agrees. It seems penny wise, dollar foolish on things along those lines.
Exactly.
So that pretty much wraps up our show for tonight. And let me come back in and find out. Here we go. So if you guys have more questions about buying, selling DVCs, you're researching DVCs and you have questions, you can go ahead and reach out to Andy. You can send him an email at andy@dvcresalemarket.com. 949-412-0850 is his cell phone. So text him, email him, call him, however you want to get a hold of Andy to answer questions. By all means, do so.
And we certainly do appreciate the phenomenal questions that we got tonight and the large viewer attendance.
Yes, as well. We had a pretty good audience tonight and a pretty engaged audience as well. So thank you guys for tuning in as well. And we will see you guys probably 2 weeks from tonight, because next week I'm going to be with my family in Detroit. And I didn't hear
Welcome home,
availability
everybody.
from anybody for that, but we'll definitely be back next week. And 2 weeks from tonight, and I think Sandy's going to be joining us, and we're going to be playing some DVC trivia games as well.
Ooh.
So those are always a fun show. We kind of bounce around between analytical questions. This is really just our community building show and how we welcome people into our community and make ourselves accessible and approachable, and kind of a chance to interact live with everybody. So as always, Andy, thank you for joining us. You're always an awesome guest to have on the show. We love you every time. And thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something in today's show that'll help you go out there and plan something magical for your family. Have a great night, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Welcome home.
Good night.